Hi everyone, thanks for dialing into the webinar. We still have a couple people that are waiting to join, so let's give them a few seconds and then we can start shortly. Thanks for your patience. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the people dialing in from around the world. Hi, my name is Ling. I'm the Director of Communications and Marketing at I4E. So welcome to the Innovation for Electrification Showcase webinar that's organized by I4E. Now we created this showcase series to bring our members one step closer to potential collaborators by giving them the opportunity to directly showcase their products and services. Now we started the series last year, and this year we're very happy to kick off the first edition for 2023. And this time we'll be looking at renewable electrification generation technologies. And the topic is part of a wider campaign that we launched in June. So just yesterday, for example, we launched a newsletter on the same theme. So be sure to check out the contributions there too. So renewable energy technologies is an interesting topic for us because we've seen that it's grown rapidly in the years. It's triggered by technological innovations, conducive policy support, and favorable cost reductions, as we've seen in solar PV. But there are also other renewable energy sources out there as well that are interesting to look at, and that includes microhydro, bioenergy, airborne wind, and green hydrogen. So these are all also part of the solution. And in this particular webinar, you'll be hearing from some of our members who've integrated like different renewable energy generation technologies as part of their business models. Just for all the audience, just note that the session will be recorded, and the recording and the presentation will be made available on the website. So yeah, this is our first slide. Oh, can we go back? There we go. So for those of you who don't know us, we're the Alliance for Rural Electrification. We're the global association for the decentralized renewable energy industry, or DRE, and we focus on emerging markets. So we have, we're very proud to have about more than 200 members from 55 countries and 3 continents. And if you need to know more about where our members are, you can check out the off-grid matchmaking platform. And on this slide, what you see is a map of where our members are mostly active. Most of them are active in Africa and Asia, but also Latin America. And at I4E, we are technology agnostic. So that means that all our members cover PV, but not only, there's also bioenergy in the mix, hydro, wind, power components, energy storage, and there's also, our members are also specialists in the 2 different energy system types, so whether it's standalone or mini grid. Next slide, please. So for those of us who, for those of you who want to join us in our growing membership, we do offer different membership services. These are the 4 that I'd like to highlight here. So the first one is business and market development, the second, capacity building, the third, policy and advocacy, and the last one, communications and marketing. So in case you're interested in joining the I4E membership, feel free to reach out to us after the webinar. And without further ado, I'll hand the floor over to our president, Alexis Rehbinder, who will facilitate the webinar. And with that, I wish you an insightful webinar, and thanks for tuning in.
Thanks a lot, Ling. Hello to everybody. Welcome to this webinar. I won't take a long time, just to remind to the audience that you can ask your questions into the chat. Please just don't forget to mention for whom the question is, and we will have a session of 8 pitches and then a Q&A session of 6 pitches, sorry, and then a Q&A session after that. So you can ask your question at any moment, and then I will have the opportunity to report them to our speakers. As mentioned, so we will have six RE members here, which will present their solutions. Each of them will have 8 minutes to pitch their solution for rural electrification. And that's it. Let's start now with the first one, Miss Oumou Ouologuem, Head of Commercial Strategy and Business Development in Africa for Ecosun Innovation. So, Oumou.
Yes, thank you, Alexis. So it's my pleasure to be here. We can go to the next slide, I think. Yes, so my name is Oumou, and I am in charge of Ecosun Innovation in Africa. I will be located in Dakar as from July. So I will be follow up our project on the continent. We can move to the next slide. So yes, maybe before diving into our innovative product, let me just introduce to you to the Ecosun Group and Ecosun Innovation. So Ecosun Innovation is a subsidiary of Ecosun Group, who has been a pioneer in French solar industry since 2008. So we are active in 2 different fields. In the green energy production with our 7 solar parks in proper management and also in co-investment in France and beyond, and also in the installation of solar plants on the roof of industrial and commercial buildings. So the idea of Ecosun Innovation, we can go to the next slide. So yes, Ecosun Innovation was created in 2015, and the idea of Ecosun Innovation was to help isolated and off-grid area to have plug-and-play system. So in 2016, we launched our first solar off-grid product, and the concept of this product is to have in 120-feet container all the electrical components with panels, with battery, with PV inverters, battery inverters, AC, DC box, all pre-wired, pre-tested, and pre-cabled in our factory and ready to be shipped on site. So no need for civil works on site. You just need to plug on. It's also important to note that EDF Group, so the second largest energy company, is in our capital at 29%. So since 2019, we developed a range of innovative products that I will be talking to you in the next slide. We can move to, okay, thank you. Yes, so if you are looking for mobile solution and you are looking also for plug-and-play solution with energy conversion and also with battery storage, you can go definitely for Ecosun Innovation product. The first product I want to share with you is this mobile grid solution. So it's the same as I said earlier. In this 20-feet container, you will have pre-assembled panels with their mounting structure so that we can deploy and redeploy easily. And in the container, you will have a technical room with which are isolated and also with all the electrical components. So this kind of product is really good for mining site, for also all the military operation, because it's mobile. We can go for the second product, the trailer watt. So the idea of this trailer is to bring also a sustainable and reliable energy on site. You will have 15 panels, which are unbreakable and flexible panels, so new generation of panels with this trailer. You can also disassemble the upper box from the trailer, so it's movable, and it's also easy, quick deployable, and easy for all the mining site, also for agriculture, everything that need mobility. You can go for this product. The other product I wanted to share with you is the frame watt. So the idea of this frame watt is to have in one container, you can put the solar frame on the top of the container, so you can bring energy on site. The idea is that, for example, for site construction, they don't have a place on the ground. So the idea is that they have containers, so they can bring the solar frame on the container or on the bungalow and bring energy on site. So with this frame watt, we will associate our solar hybrid box. So with all of our product, they come with the solar hybrid box, which is energy conversion and also energy storage. The last product I we can go back because I have another product. Yes, the last product I wanted to share with you is made for rural electrification, because in this 20-feet container, which is stationary, you will have all the pre-assembled panels with their mounting structure, and here it's a ballistic system that we used. And in the 20-feet container, you will have the technical room, isolated, air conditioned, and with all the electrical components. So you just need to connect the PV strings with our containers and bring sustainable energy. We can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so to summarize, in Ecosun innovation, we are doing all the engineering part. We are designing, we are manufacturing, and also we are providing a plug and play system. And this plug and play system will come in different shape. So in one end, we will have here the energy production thanks to the frame, the trailer, or the container, the 20-feet container. And in another hand, you will have the electricity distribution here. So it's a nominal output ranking from 5 to 60 kVA associated with the storage. So the idea is that all of this product and this electricity distribution is standardized with our product. And if you need more than 60 kVA, it's still possible for Ecosun innovation, but it's a special project for us, and we will manage and deal it case by case. Yes, we can move to our tracking record. Yes, what is interesting is that we have more than 80 references in Africa. We deliver successfully stationary product, but also mobile product on different sites and for different market. For example, we help to electrify Senegalese community and Malian community with our fixed watt and with our hybrid box. So the idea is that we will use the energy conversion associated to the storage for this project. We also work with Médecins du Monde to electrify an hospital in Central Africa. Also, it was a fixed watt. You can see the picture here with storage. What is also important to say is that we have a frame agreement with one of United Nations for refugees. The idea is to help them go greener with their offices. So we will bring to them our containerized solution, and we will install the panels on the roof of their offices. So we will have to electrify more than 200 offices in Africa. So you can see that we are placing a big focus on rural electrification programs. We can move to the next slide. Yes, regarding this slide, I wanted also to share with you what we are doing with with also our mobile solution. So yes, we are working. Okay, so we are working also with different sites, different enterprise to help them electrify with our mobile solution, with the trailer watt, with the mobile watt. That was our first product. And also what is notable here is that we have a frame agreement with Total Energy. So we are helping Total Energy to solarize all their gas stations. So Total Energy will bring the PV panels and they will connect their PV panels to our solar hybrid box, which is our electrical cabinet. So yes, thank you for your attention, and I will be there to answer to your question.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the presentation. Sorry for having to keep the time. So we'll continue with the next speaker, Mr. Christian Patrick, Secretary General at Airborne Wind Europe.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alexis. I hope you can hear me well. So yeah, I will talk to you about airborne wind energy. That's a new form of renewable energy or new energy technology. And I'm talking on behalf of Airborne Wind Europe. That's the association of the airborne wind energy sector. And later on, you will listen to Florian Breipol from Enerkite, one of the companies, one of our member companies, who will present then a little bit more in detail their solution. Next slide, please. So here you can see the members of our association. They are on the left side, around 12 companies that are developing airborne wind energy systems. And then there are also a number of universities and research institutes. We are a member of Wind Europe, and also for the last half year, I think, a member of the Alliance for Rural Electrification. And yeah, we are a member of a number of other networks with regards to renewable energies. So we see ourselves as being part of the renewable energy solutions. Next slide, please. So here you see the systems, basically how they look like. We produce energy with kites, and I will explain in a moment how that looks like. You see here that we have basically two types of systems. There are these soft kites that are like big kite surfing kites or paragliding kites, and then you have the fixed wing systems that look more like aircrafts or drones, and the Enerkite system, which is a special wing that you will hear in a moment. So these are the typical systems that that are being developed at the moment. Next slide. And when you click again, then the animation starts, and you will see how the system works. Can you please click again? Yeah, so you see now how the kite is flying in figures of 8, and by doing these 8s, it pulls with a tether, or the tether is being pulled, which is wound around a drum, and next to the drum you have a generator which is producing the electricity. And you just saw that once the tether is reeled out completely, the kite has to be flown back to the starting altitude, and the cycle starts again. That's why we call this pumping or yo-yo principle. So for the retrieving, you need a little bit of energy, but it's much less than what you gain when the kite is pulling out. So next slide. Now I will show you a video how this looks like. Click again, please. So here you see now the SkySail system. That's the company from Germany, also a member of the Alliance. You see the launch of the system with a mast. I think it's an 18-meter high mast, and it's also a containerized solution, like from the speaker before. So very small system on the ground, the ground station. And here you see now how the, I hope the video works better for you. For me, it's a little bit not working so well, but you see that the kite is now flying in figures of 8. So it has pulled out, is pulling now the tether and generates electricity. We are already at 20 cents per kilowatt hour, which is still higher than conventional wind. But we are, with that price, already competitive with diesel power generation, so especially for off-grid systems or also on-grid. So this is here in Mauritius, on the island, where the system is also connected to the grid. This is a 100 to 200 kilowatt system, depending on the site and the wind. But yeah, in that range, this is where the kites are currently being developed. And here you have seen now when there's no wind or you have some kind of issue, the kite can land automatically and is being lowered. Next slide, please. Click again. That's the video again. So next slide. Yeah. So what are the advantages? So one of the big advantages is that you basically have a lot of less material, 90% less material than for a conventional wind turbine. We basically emulate only the wing tips of a conventional wind turbine, and we get rid of the foundation, the tower, and large parts of the blades. And this is what we basically substitute hardware with software, because we have to control the kite, which is done automatically, but we get rid of a lot of material, which is a big advantage. If you click again, in the terms of circular economy, because we reduce the amount of material that is being put into the system. Next slide. The other big advantage is that we have access to the wind resource at higher altitudes. Here you see the wind map of Europe at 100-meter fixed, so fixed altitude, with all the reddish colors above 7.5 meters per second. So the best wind potential is actually offshore. You look at Europe, and now when you click again, you see the altitude, the wind resource at 500 meters. So we fly up to 600 meters, but if you get the best wind between 100 and 500 meters, this is how the map looks like. And you see that basically the wind resource improves a lot also onshore. So we basically get offshore conditions onshore, which means that we can produce energy in areas where you wouldn't usually go, or because you would have to build very high turbines, or that you couldn't even produce anything with wind. So this is the big advantage. If you click again, you see the world map from the Global Wind Atlas that only shows the difference between 100 and 200 meters. So if you imagine now you would go up to 500 meters, the map on the right side would even look much redder. And you see here that Northern Africa, Southern Africa, Eastern Africa, and basically all the areas which are not exactly around the equator have basically super good wind potential. And this is where we can harvest that wind potential, which other technologies can't do. Next slide. So this helps us to go into areas where or having less material helps us to go into areas where you wouldn't go normally, because we can access difficult terrains. We just have a containerized solution. We can build it up. We can take it away again if necessary in case of hurricanes or typhoons. And later we will also go offshore and then floating, where we also need a lot smaller floating platform, which needs a lot less material than conventional wind. Next slide. So this is where we fly already today, mainly in Europe and Mauritius. Well, actually Aruba, there's an A missing. We had one test on Aruba and then a Caribbean island. But yeah, currently the companies are developing these systems in Europe. We try to get more test sites as well. But this is basically what is already happening. So these systems, especially the first systems now, are available on the market. And if you take me or my colleague later, we can also put you in contact with the companies where you can buy the systems from. And last slide, 20 seconds left, I see. This is where we will also be in future, as I said, offshore floating hybrid systems with solar PV in mines and so on. And with that, I finish my presentation. Last slide. Please have a look at our website where you see more videos and material, and then also this 2022 report on our future roadmap. And with that, I end, and happy to hear your questions later on. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Christian, for this very insightful presentation, and for keeping the time for a brilliant manner. So we will go on by having Mr. Vivian Barnier, CEO of N-Access. Please, Vivian, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you, Alexis, and hello to everybody attending this webinar today. Thank you for having me. Please, first slide still. And And we will today talk about more a concept. We have seen two very technology-focused presentations. There will be others, and I believe these are very important and without doubt crucial to the achieving of energy access in the world. But we will talk about open innovation as a concept to conceptually think access to energy differently and how we innovate. For that, I wanted to talk first about where do we stand with energy access today. As you can see in this graph that I put out here for you, we have been doing quite a good job as a sector until 2019, where suddenly the increase or decrease of people without electricity have stagnated, and we are even seeing a backwards trend due to the population growth outperforming the efforts to reach energy access. So we believe we need new technologies as the ones that we have just seen, and new technology innovations and so on, but we also have to think conceptually, how do we work towards innovation differently? How do we collaborate in innovation? And there is the approach that we believe in, next slide, which is the open source approach. And that's why N-Access creates open innovations for the energy access sector. How do we do that? We work together with sector builders. That means with distributors, manufacturers, with utilities, with the operators of energy systems, with decentralized energy systems to provide energy to the left behind. To achieve that, we work with those and we co-create open solutions. So open innovations that are accessible, free to use, and easy to use to everybody in the sector, to take them, to adopt them, to adapt them, and to build on top of them their own business, and not having to reinvent the wheel for the baseline infrastructure that they need for their operations. Next slide. And we have noticed, and we have got the feedback by the sector, that these open source innovations that we provide, which are software, hardware, and tools and business models, can save the developers time and money that they can then use to actually come up with outstanding innovations for their own businesses. And that's where and how we create sector-wide impact for the energy access sector. Now, to be more concrete on the next slide, I will talk a bit what are the innovations that we actually had developed in our portfolio or co-developed with the innovators from the sector. There we have hardware and software solutions, finance and business model solutions, and solutions for the operations. And just to say a few words about what we have in our current portfolio, there's the open battery management system, which is an open source hardware and software stack that can be used by anybody in the sector to build their battery-based energy systems. Generally, battery management systems do not fit exactly your requirements, so you start developing your own, but you don't have to start from scratch. You can take the open one and just build whatever you need on top of it. Exactly the same applies to the open smart meter, which is an AC meter for standalone or mini-grid applications. Then we have the open pay-go token, which has, together with other open innovations in the sector, disrupted the pay-go ecosystem, particularly in the solar home system world, and has created more interoperability across the sector. Then we have the Cicada IoT communication modules and the Airlink ecosystem that both allow remote communication with energy access assets, and everything again is open source. And on the business model side, we have the DIREC initiative, which we funded as the initial contributor to allow the monetization of renewable energy certificates, decentralized energy, and the aggregate and integrated mini-grid agri-business model. And lastly, we're currently working on the open source micropower manager, which has been initially developed by Inensus, and now today we are as an Access adding some features to this open source solution. Next slide, please. So we really, as you see, we see and believe open source belongs to energy access. It is today already a crucial part of energy access. You can see it with the open paygo token and some of the innovations which I just showed, but we believe it needs to have the collaboration, and the open source approach needs to be more inherently anchored within energy access. Sure, there are traditional and proprietary solutions to some of the challenges, not to all, but to some. But often these come with a heavy price tag that make it not necessarily accessible to all the stakeholders in the sector, and also not necessarily always work in off-grid communities. And then you find yourself in trying to adopt or adapt it, but you can't because it's proprietary, it's closed, so you can't do any modifications. And the manufacturer is not necessarily reacting to your request of modifying its solution. So that's where we see the power of open source in our sector, where there's so much fragmented knowledge and experience in a lot of geographical areas and a lot of technology areas, which we believe we should leverage through the open source approach to create an equitable and vital ecosystem, which is insurable, which we can then on top all build our viable, sustainable and profitable businesses to actually get more people connected. So let me close with that as a last slide. I would like to invite you all to think about more collaboration, more knowledge sharing, more open source in your developments. Think about using open source. Look at the open source solutions that we have at www.nexus.org, or write us an info@nexus.org if you want to find out how to use them, or if you have an idea on another innovation that could benefit the whole sector and that you would be interested to develop, reach out to us. We believe in the partnerships and collaboration to actually get more people connected, and hopefully we can still make it by 2030, even though we are not on track, but by more collaboration and more coordination, we might do it. Thank you for your attention, and happy to hear your question later on.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Vivian. It's been interesting to see various members of RE with, as you say, technological solutions, but as well, let's say, innovative process to develop energy access. Just before we move to the next speaker, two very short reminders. First one, once again, feel free to send your questions in the chat. We already received a few. Feel free to continue. And second, just to remind to everybody that the slides of all the speakers will be made available on the RE website short after this session. So next, I wanted to call Florian Beppel, from CEO of Enerkite, to present his own solution. So Florian, if you want to, we can't see you, and if you want to, okay, great. And we can't hear you.
And am I better now?
Okay, perfect.
Ah, perfect.
Okay,
good. Florian, I'm the CEO of Enerkite, a company from airborne wind energy technology. We are developing airborne wind energy converters. It's a Berlin and Brandenburg-based company that is developing since 10 years now on this technology. Next slide, please. Yeah, with this technology approach that we have, especially our systems design of our airborne wind energy system, we can provide a very constant and reliable power production over the year, which we can see on top. So we are able to produce around about 5 times more power than photovoltaics, and double the yield of traditional wind turbines, and therefore be a good solution for applications where we have some troubles of a constant power supply. Next slide, please. Yeah, Christian has already described a little bit the system and the benefits. I just want to point out that the interesting thing about this technology and the technology of Enerkite is that we tap into a gap of wind energy production, which is basically that there is no good system for distributed wind energy so far. The small wind turbines can be put nearby the customer, but are not very efficient. So they are 10 to 16% of the year they can produce nominal power. So it's not very efficient. And if you go big and you go efficient with wind turbines, then you have to have a good infrastructure and logistics, and that makes the system not suitable for direct and distributed wind energy. And that is what we can provide with our system, because we can be very small scale, but very efficient at the same time. So basically we can be a diesel generator, but without diesel, but with wind. What is very important to know is the difference between a wind turbine and our system is also that we can be deployed very rapidly and recommissioned in an aftermarket later if your business model changes. So we are quite mobile and transportable. So that's very important. And we can produce power up to around about 5,000 full load hours per year. So that's why we can say that we are very constant in power production. Next slide, please. Yeah, what makes Enerkite special is the starting or launching and landing system that we developed. On the right side, we can see the harvesting cycle that Christian has already described, the yo-yo principle. What makes Enerkite special in this area is this rotational launching and landing system, which allows us to start and land the kite even when there's absolutely no wind on the ground. And therefore, we are able to harvest very slow wind speeds at these high altitudes, which makes the system very probable to find adequate wind conditions in these heights. And therefore, we can be very constant in our power production. Furthermore, the wing is has a low complexity. It's just a wing. All the systems for steering, launching, and producing power are on the ground. And therefore, the system is very, very reliable and robust. And at the same time, very, very efficient. We can say that we are the most efficient system of all the systems in this sector so far. Yeah, that's basically the main system design that we achieved at Enerkite. Next slide, please. Yeah, as Christian mentioned, we can our main area where we can produce power is onshore nearby the customer, and we can triple the area that is suitable for Enerkites compared to the traditional wind turbine industry. So we are there where the customer is, basically. Next slide, please. Yeah, can you tap another one? So that is the video that I will show. Yeah, this is the data from the airborne data unit. So we can see here a test flight around about 1.5 hours at wind speeds from 3 to 4 meters per second. So very low wind speed, but also with gusts up to 8 meters per second. So it's a very robust system. So that was done during the year 21 and 22 several times. And here we can see the system working. The whole system is working completely autonomous and automated. So the operator is just pushing the button and the system itself begins to start and begins to launch the kite according to wind condition and wind direction and wind speed. So now the kite is launched by the system and begins to get more tether length and height to get into the operational heights. And then begins the harvesting cycle that can be seen here. So that's the 8th flight. The system is very, very efficient. The wing has a very small area compared to other systems that need the triple or 4 times the area to gain the same power out of the wind. Yeah, so the system here can be seen producing energy or power on the ground already. You know, and then the retraction cycle where the kite is retracted can be seen here. So the kite is pulled back by the system, and as soon as the minimum height is reached, that is defined by the software or the local conditions, then the kite starts again into the next harvesting cycle of the wind. The interesting thing is that the system is all the time measuring the wind condition on different heights. So the system can learn itself the local wind condition and can get better and better over the time and adjust the flying path accordingly to the local wind systems. So it's a smart system, so to say. Yeah, and here we can see the automated landing phase where the operator has pushed the stop button and then the kite is retracted. And yeah, it's not very good to see here because the video is a little bit slow. But there is a situation where there is a gust coming and then the system decides not to land but make another turn that we just saw. And so the system is very precise to the steering compared to the wind conditions. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, where we are standing now in the development, we are now entering into the prototype state phase. So the test system has worked since 10 years now under different conditions, wind conditions, snow, rain. And now we are getting into the prototype phase, which can be seen in the middle. So all the components are now into assembly, and we will have the system running at pilot customers in Germany, and the aim is to get to a series in 26, 27 to buy it. Next slide, please. Sorry. Yeah, a very important thing of our system is, of course, the wing component, because the wing is the component that is getting the power out of the wind, and Enerkite is very proud to have invented a new form of wing construction that allows us to build a very strong and robust wing to harvest the wind in these high altitudes over a lifetime of 10 years. The whole system has a lifetime of 20 years. Next slide, please. And we have three main markets. One market is self-supply for farming and small businesses. Therefore, we have a farm in Germany that will take one system, and we have a German utility that is working for us for the mini grid market, where we have a pilot project together with them with PV and biogas together. And then we have the part e-mobility for a decentralized autonomous charging station together with Volkswagen. So these are the three main markets and the three main pilot customers that we have so far. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the basic calculation of our system. So we think that we are coming under 350,000 euros per system, and we will have a ROE of 4 to 6 years according to local wind conditions. Yeah, that's the calculation for our system. The LCOE will be at 14 to 10 cent per kilowatt hour. Next slide, please. And that's it. Yeah, well, yeah. So at this moment, we are looking for pilot projects in other areas than Germany or Europe. And of course, we are in an investment round. So if someone is interested in investing in our company, we are is welcome to have a talk. So yeah, thank you, and looking forward to your questions later.
Thanks a lot, Florian. I was just about to ask you to finish.
Yeah, to stop.
Yeah. To stop, exactly. So perfect. Let's now move to the next speaker. Please, Mr. Ouologuem. Sorry if mispronounce your name. CEO and founder of Tech Power Services. So, okay, perfect. And the floor is yours.
All right, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody, and happy to be on this call. So my name is Ouologuem, and I'm the CEO and founder of Tech Power Services. So it's my pleasure to pitch and speak at the webinar. Can you go to the website to the next slide, please? So basically, Tech Power Services, it's a renewable. Next slide, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Next slide.
The slide is
can we go to the
moving.
All right, that's amazing. So now, basically, I was saying like Tech Power is a renewable energy utility company. We are based in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and we provide clean energy in an easily affordable and reliable way to underserved community who are living outside the national grid coverage via smart microgrid. So basically, what we do is that we use renewable energy. This is both solar energy and hydro energy. So depending on the availability of the resources. So today I'm a little bit focusing my talk on hydro to electrify underserved community with development opportunity. Actually, this underserved community who are in the rural area, you know, with development opportunity. So these people most of the time are ignored by the national electricity planner. So from this way, we optimally select site where micro hydro and the mini grid are the most competitive option based on the distance from, you know, the national grid and the potential load size. So if I could give just a little bit of the potential and the challenges of my country. So now the DRC is, I think, is the second largest country in Africa as per now, with 2,345,000 square kilometer and an estimated population of up to 100, you know, million inhabitants. But the country approximately 90%, you know, of the Congolese lack access to the electricity, and the DRC national generation capacity is lower than the power demand. So as a result, only grids connected to households have access to intermittent electricity. So for our case, basically for us, where we operate currently in the rural area, we have only 1%. It's a very low percentages. And the vision we have come up with is to be at the forefront of the innovation, the rural energy sector, by contributing to the achievement of the SDGs, sustainable energy for all, you know, in the DRC. And basically, we have developed several services such as the clean energy, mini grid development, the renewable energy engineering, procurement, commissioning, and maintenance, but also the hydro power development services, and lastly the commercial and industrial solution. Can we go to the next slide, please? Next slide, please. So speaking of all right, so speaking of the project experience, so now back in 2018, we have launched a clean and sustainable energy for rural DRC. It's a very ambitious and rural electrification scheme, which was designed to provide clean energy to rural community who are not connected to the national grid. So now the projects plan to construct 100, you know, decentralized, you know, renewable energy, hydro, and smart microgrid with an installed capacity between it goes from 50 kVA to 5 megawatts. So now across the eastern part of the east and the central part of DRC, because currently right now we are based in the eastern part of DRC. So right now this will optimally help, you know, rural community to you know, kind of start like get the energy, get the electricity, and they can generate, they can use it, the productive of your energy, such as starting a hair salon, as you can see, and also maybe welding shop and all that, so that you can create, you know, the impact in the community. So basically, we are in implementation phase of 0.8 megawatts hydro in the village of Masisi. This is a countryside of the North Kivu province, and this will basically help these people to, it's a conflict affected area. So the young people in that area, instead of thinking of joining, you know, an armed group and all that, because this is an area where I've been in conflict for the past 20 years, they can easily, you know, start up like income generating activities, which can help them to cater for their family, their children, and all that. Can you go to the last slide, I think? Last slide, please. So looking at the impact, the impact. So now, as I start to, so basically this is the images of the small micro hydropower we have in construction, and right now we have finished, you know, the construction, just remaining to build like the network up to the city, which is almost 5 kilometers from this place. So speaking of the impact, this will unlock the local economic potential, but also it will empower, you know, community, and at the end of the day, it will mitigate climate change. So thank you so much. Great to speak on the webinar. I think this is the last slide, and back to you. All right. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Keep connected. We'll have some questions, I'm sure, for you following this insightful presentation. We would prefer to have more pictures at the end, but it was still very interesting. Okay, so next speaker will be with us, Mr. Marco Hansberg, CTO of Empony Off-Grid Solutions. Okay, great. Here you are. So Marco, I will leave you the floor.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me the chance here to talk to so many people. It's very, very interesting and very exciting for us to introduce here our products. Let me introduce Empony Off-Grid Solutions of Düsseldorf, Germany. We have been busy over more than 10 years in the field of PV power generation, mainly charging and productive use application. And of course, we started all the thing with water pumping. Our company is specialized in driving three-phase electric motors from small powers like 0.37 kilowatt up to 5.5 kilowatt. And we are introducing a PV power system, battery-less operation, and of course, CO2 free operation of our stuff. Next slide, please. Here, besides all these applications that we are doing with PV solar powered motor control, I would like to introduce a very special product that is one of our recent developments. Here, it's a solar oil press which works without batteries. On this photo, you can see the smallest one that we have that is typically used for pharmaceutical or small production sites. And with some of the explanation, the system works completely from PV power, which means we have a heating process that is, see what you at the front. We have a specific nozzle selection, and we have an extruder, motors. All these things are working together here, using only the power of a minimized PV solar array. The solution is very new. We are very proud that we have been able to achieve the Bavarian State Award in the year 2022 for innovation. So we won the gold medal for that, because such systems are obviously not available, working only from solar power. Next slide, please. Well, why this is so attractive, this system, it's when we see at the business models that are totally running, how we can bring local value chains and foster businesses in remote areas. It's very simple. Today we see on the very left side that the farmers harvesting goods and selling the raw crops to someone who's transporting it to some centralized oil pressing factory, where the oil is pressed on one side. Of course, there's also some input of plastic bottles, which is another bad point for the environment. And the oil cake is a very protein-rich and very valuable thing that would be needed back in the remote areas to feed the cattle and any other things. Well, the farmers then have to buy back the pressed oil at the high cost, which means the income on local for the local people is very low. That is one of the problems that we see. So we have 2 times CO2 generation by transportation. We are creating a lot of plastic bottle waste, yeah, and the money is earned somewhere else. On the next slide, I'm going to show you what we can do with a system that is we're operating only from PV solar, which means doesn't need any cost for fuel. Here, these kind of oil presses can be used locally. So the farmers or the farmer communities or association of farmers, they can share these kind of PV solar oil press. And the good thing is that they have a local circulation of the oil, and of course the oil cake is already at the right place where it can be used as a valuable food for cattle or even humans. That business model creates income to the farmers, and I would like to show you on the next slide what that can be. Here we have done, well, let's say for a medium-sized PV oil press, a kind of business case. So it's like 20 kilograms of seeds. Of course, we have more than 90 different kinds of seeds with specific nozzles and settings. Our fully microprocessor controlled device will optimize all the operating of the system. So it's rather simple to use. It brings best pressing results. Let us see here the 30,000 liters that you can press in an average process per year. 1 liter of vegetable oil is like €2 or $2 in Africa mainly. So we're talking about a turnover of something like $30,000 or euros. The equipment itself has a cost of something like 10,000 euros only, and the crops, the kernels, the seeds, they are available at a rather lower cost locally, which means these kind of business models to create such local businesses will fly in a very short time, much less than 1 year. And of course, we have also integrated the pay-ups. We have open tokens. Thank you to the speaker before, and access. So we are using their technology. Yeah, it's excellent. So it's really well usable, so that people who do not own the machine, but nevertheless they can use it for the time and pay as much as they need that. So also this implementation of pay-as-you-go systems, we are cooperating with the big players here, is helping here to increase the proliferation of such kind of a system. Yeah, we have a complete GSM remote control, so our engineering team can give support. We can understand what's going on with the device. We can give local support through a direct connection from our offices and engineering departments here. And we have, of course, also a geo-location tracking possibility. So we know when this machine would change the place. Next slide, please. And of course, we come from the very small one that I have shown in the very first picture, 0.37, more for the pharmaceutical range. And we have several grades and powers of such kind of oil presses, extruders, up to 5.5 kilowatts. So let's say for every kind of business sizing, we can provide solutions for this kind of equipment. Next slide, please. What we're looking concretely is we would need more local support to bring these kind of interesting solutions that create local business models into the field to the people. We are looking for installers. We have already a wide range of products for PV pumping, including the sprayers, the water guns. Yeah, we would like to get closer to farmers cooperatives to bring this kind of solution closer. That would also reduce the post-harvest loss, because produced oil does not expire so quickly here. And yes, also for our other solutions that are all based on motor drives, like corn hullers, palletizers, mills, grinders, compressors, plastic waste crushers. Yeah, they all can be used, can be transformed by our solutions to 100% PV powered, battery-less operation model. So we also have large experience to have drive kits available to transform existing machines with maybe broken motors into something that is powered only by the power of the sun. Yeah, basically, next slide, please. That's the last one, and then I think my time is also up. So we are located in Düsseldorf. Feel free to contact us. We are very happy to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Alexis.
Yes.
It was in time, right?
Yes, it was perfect. Perfect.
Thank
Thanks
you
a
so
lot.
much.
It will allow us to have about 30 minutes of Q&A, and it will be. I hope it will be enough because we have received a lot of questions. So I will just ask to all the speakers if you can switch on your camera, and we will start. Directly with the first questions. So first questions come for Ecosun, quite logically. So for you, Oumou, two questions. So the first one is, what kind of support and maintenance does Ecosun provide after implementation? This is the first one. And we also received just after a second question for you. So yes, and in which countries do you plan to work with UNGCR for containerized solar systems?
Okay. First of all, the idea for us is to have a partnership in each country. We will have our project, so our product in. So we are working with local partners, with installer, and also with maintenance people, which can help us to maintain our product in each country we are. So basically, yes, this is the answer to the first question. And for the second question, the first pilot with UNHCR is for Nigeria, and after that we will work also for in Niger and Mauritania. So I think it will be it's this third countries we have in the pipe.
Great, thanks a lot. Sorry, there is a lot of questions, so I will just pick them and ask. Feel free to take them, of course, to answer. So next questions comes to you, Christian. And again, there is two. So the first one is quite concrete one. So how much installed capacity have you achieved, and what are the main challenges ahead? And the second question is, what are the results that Airborne Wind Europe has discovered after installing their solutions in Africa, and how big you think the market can be for airborne wind solutions? And you also have a big thank you for those amazing innovations. So I will let you answer these two questions, Christian.
Yeah, thanks for the questions. Well, at the moment, there are not too many installations yet. So this SkySail system that you have seen is really the first kind of commercial system that is out there, so about 100 kilowatts. We have seen, though, the pipeline from SkySails, and it looks quite promising. So there will be more installations to see next 1 or 2 years, not only in Africa, but also in Southeast Asia and other locations. But at the moment, it's unfortunately not the case that this technology is really largely deployed yet. So we're really at the starting point now, and SkySails is the front runner. You've heard that from Enerkite, they still need 1-2 years until they can provide the first systems, and we still need more operational hours also for testing. So the whole sector is really at the brink of commercialization, and we hope to see much more in the years to come. So that's why also in your second question, we don't have that much experience yet in the real world, let's say, or in Africa. But this is now being built up, and it seems that the customer there, Mauritius, is quite happy with the system. They're now looking also, I think, for another location, because actually the one that they chose has not the best wind conditions. So there may be other wind locations there in Mauritius. Unfortunately, I can't talk about the pipeline from our members. Yeah, please keep out looking for news from the sector. I think in the next few months you will see much more information about systems and also on new projects coming up. And yeah, if, I don't know who asked a question, but if you are interested, then please let us know and we put you in contact with the sales people. Thank you.
Is it possible
Great.
to add something? Just a short thing.
Of course. Feel free.
Because the question was also for the market. So the market is really huge for us. I mean, Christian can confirm that, I guess, and SkySales too, because we get a lot of requests that we would like to address or to fulfill. That's one thing. So it's a $1 billion market, and the interesting thing about this technology is that it can be produced on the other way in volumes than wind turbines, because it's highly let's say it's a serious production like harvesting machines, and in this amount it can be produced later. So it's getting into tens of thousands units per year that can be produced in the long run.
Maybe if I may add one more thing, and Florian told that this is a scalable solution. At the moment, the commercial systems that are being developed are about 100 kilowatts. So this is already interesting for many off-grid systems. And from what I have seen, for some off-grid small grids, even too much already. So there could be even smaller systems. But as you can go really high up, always harvest wind. So that's the big difference to smaller wind turbines. And then they will grow over the next years into also the megawatt range. So yeah, we indeed see a huge market potential onshore, and then later, as I said, also offshore, because we can save a lot of, well, we have to prove it still, but we can potentially save quite some money because we just have less material to be shipped out offshore.
Fantastic, very interesting. Next question comes to you, Vivian. So again, we have two questions for N-Access. The first one is, could you provide more information on how the Open PayGo token innovation works, please? And the second one is, what has been the main source of funding to bring innovation into rural electrification?
Okay. Thank you for these questions. First on the Open PayGo token. So, and the Open PayGo token is a software stack that includes a coder and a decoder algorithm, which is completely open source, well documented, and on GitHub. I don't know exactly what is meant about how the innovation works. So, I mean, there is a coder that includes the information. There's the code, the algorithm that then recognizes if a token is actually a proper token and how much time is connected to this token. So we talk about airtime for solar home systems. So one part of the number says, okay, it's a valid token, and the other part of the token, which is a various digit number, includes the information on how much airtime has been paid for generating this token. And this token entered in a device then unlocks a specific time in the algorithm, time of use, and after this time is ended and no new token has been entered, it stops working. So this is basically how the PayGo token system generally works. The difference of the Open PayGo token is that it's open. So it has now been integrated and adopted by most manufacturers in the sector and also the loan platform providers. Solaris, Off-Grid, which was the developer actually, which we work with, but also Engasa and Paygi are now interoperable with the Open PayGo token. So Open PayGo token enabled devices can be easily integrated on these platforms. And now this main sources of funding, I guess this is addressed to where the funding of us and Access comes from, because we then route this funding directly to open innovations in the sector. And this has been the Mod Foundation, Stuart Charles Mod Foundation, and the Dune Foundation, which have supported us. But there are also others that have done open innovations. I mentioned earlier the Micro Power Manager, which has been developed by Nensus with help of Dune again, I think, and also other funders. There are other parts of the PagoOps ecosystem which have been funded and developed by Efficiency for Access, which funds exactly they used of their various funders for this digital innovation, I can't tell you. But yeah, this gives you maybe a broad idea on funders of the open innovation space. I think IKEA Foundation and Good Energies and the Energy Web Foundation are the foundations routing funds on open innovations to the sector.
Thanks a lot. Thanks again. Now I shall switch to 2 new questions for Enerkite. So for you, Mr. Florian. The first one is, what is your plan to the left behind communities in providing the airborne wind energy technology? And the other question is airborne wind energy technology replace the existing wind energy technology in the near future? Or is there a possibility of using both technologies?
Yeah, the last question I can answer first. No, we are not replacing the traditional wind energy. We are an addition to traditional wind energy. We are getting into a market or creating new markets that are not interesting for wind energy or they cannot reach them. So that makes it it's a really new technology entering or creating new markets. For the the communities that are left behind, I think it's a very interesting technology because we can reduce the amount necessary for storage and also for regulation of the energy, which makes the energy expensive, of course, because we are very constant producing power. And because we are a very small scale, at 100 kilowatt is not so much, and we can downscale, as Christian said, we can be a very good fit for small communities. As I said, no, it's like a diesel generator, but with wind. So that's where we want to tap in. And for the business models, we are in cooperation with the university for, let's say, sustainable economics. And we want to look at different business models for the different markets. So something like pay-as-you-go or pay-per-use models can be interesting to lower the barrier for entering into these markets, of course. No? So you'd only pay the power and not the whole system. So these things we are just beginning to do some research in that and try to find out which kind of business model works the best according to the market and the conditions. And for the sales, we want to get into partnership with different entities. Now, as I said, we are a little bit like harvesting machines, tractors or something like that. And for the self-supply market, we can go into cooperation with entities that are delivering such kind of technology or producing this kind of technology. So we can use the channels to come to the customer at the end. And they know the needs and constraints of the markets there. I hope this is helpful as an answer.
It is very, very, very helpful. Next question is for Mr. Joe. And again, it's a double question. So first one is about the market share. So if you take a look at the energy demand supply projection of the TRC, what percentage of the supply projection will the type of the supply you presented for small industries, services, and agriculture comes to? So what will be your what share of the market you will cover? And secondly, have you encountered any difficulties in collecting payments from your customers if you are not using prepaid methods?
Perfect. Thank you so much for this great question. Basically, speaking on the market, so basically looking at the potential of the TRC, and when we were developing the project, because we look at the productive use of energy, but as well we look at the people who are the companies who are going to use the energy. And when we developed the project, we were targeting like mining site. but this mining site in conflict affected area, whereby we believe that the energy, the electricity we are bringing will empower the community, will help, the community in terms of, productive use and all that, but also looking at the money when it comes to return on investment. We are targeting like mines, because most of these people are relying on genset generators, for the power has never been there, it's a rural area where people are mining, but they rely on genset generators. So when we give them the power from this private mining company, we can get back the money. But at the end of the day, on the other side, we are providing a very good impact in the rural community where we operate. So now the DRC, it's a little bit the business, the energy business is a little bit complex in the DRC, because looking at the hydro, of course, it has been there for very long, but we still have like challenge in terms of policy regulation when it's come to to implementing, to put the grid and all that. So now we are right now together with other companies in the Association Congolaise des Énergies Renouvelables Décentralisées, ACRD, Renewable Energy, Congolese Renewable Energy. So we are trying to focus and push the government to come up with reliable policy and regulation which can help us, to give the very good services to people. So this is something which we have been pushing in terms of consultancy and roundtable meeting, and see how the government could be of support. And as per now, I'm speaking whereby there is an agency like ANSER who are trying to support private companies, Congolese company, mostly who are operating in the rural area. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you for this those clarifications. DRC is not an easy place to develop mini grids. Next question is for Marco Emponi. So we have let's say two to three questions. So is there an energy storage system option, or is it only operational for production on daytime? And if yes, so why? And second question is Emponi already in Africa, especially East and Central Africa? Marco, if you...
So regarding the storage, typically we consider the processed goods as our storage, which means the water that we pump up into a tank means the water becomes available already pressurized. In case of the oil press, it is the processed goods. So the oil that you have, the oil you can easily make a storage into a tank. When you see what is our product range about, we are driving motors. Driving motors from only a battery, means it's a lot of energy that you are taking out of a battery, which means you would require a huge battery bank in order to increase the autonomy very much. That would, and of course, increase the cost, but it would also deteriorate the environmental impact of our solution. So we try to have, as I mentioned, water tanks, oil tanks, or for example, if we do flour mill, then it's the flour that can be used, and so on, or pelletizers. So the final product availability is the best storage. And pardon, the second question, Alexis?
Are you already present in Africa, East and Central?
Yeah, yes.
But I guess you can answer.
Yes, we have. Correct. Yes, we have already certain hubs in certain countries in Africa, but it's a kind of spot. So we've understood that there's much more market than we can cover today, because we are a bit too far away from some of the customers. So we are really looking for people that would like to sell our solutions, to industrialize, to motorize electrically applications that today are only diesel powered or using a gasoline motor itself.
Great, thanks. Thank you. I keep going because we only 7 minutes left for the question. So back to you, Oumou, with a question about Ecosun. So let's say it's two quite related questions. So I will ask the two questions, but I think one answer will cover both. So what are the potential benefits and cost savings of implementing Ecosun solution? And the other question is, what is the expected payback period for each of the plans you showcased? So
I think it will depend on the needs of our client, but most of the time our solution is cost effective because we have clients in, for example, industrial sector that want to reduce their electricity bill, and they will go for a photovoltaic solution. So they will go for our fixed watt solution. So the ROE for this kind of project can be 4 or 5 years old. So I think it will just depend on the needs of the clients. That's why we analyze and we are making the sizing before before giving them any product, any plug-and-play system product. It will be case by case that we will study.
Case by case basis. Okay, great. But with the target of 5 years, you mentioned of payback, this is your target?
Yes, for industrial project in Africa, it could be 3 to 5 years. Yes, it's possible for this fixed watt. Because if you add storage is cost, so you need to, it will be more than that. But okay, if it's only a self-consumption, you can have a great payback.
Yes, it's quite a short one. 3 years is great. A question for you, Florian Enerkite. In fact, 4 questions quite precise. So I will just read them. So what is the distance required to transmission and distribution lines? What's the crash frequency of the kite? What is the max wind speed for the kite? And the last question, can the kite start in when 0 wind speed at ground level?
Okay, so yeah, the specialty of Enerkite is exactly that we can launch and land the kite when there is absolutely no wind on the ground. That is something that makes Enerkite quite unique. There are other systems that can do this too, with a drone system, with propellers, but Enerkite has a kite that is completely passive, without propellers, without anything, but can be still started and landed without wind. So that's the first thing. That is very important, because when you have 3 meters per second in high altitudes, it's like a leaf moving and a small branch moving. It's very low wind. On the ground, you don't feel anything. So we have to have a system to reach these high altitudes. No? So that's the first thing. The maximum wind speed is about 20 meters per second, which is how do you say, a tornado or something, comes to a tornado, no? Near to a tornado speed. Then we will land and park the system. Then for the second question was about crashing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so the system, Enerkite is claiming to have the most reliable and safe system. Why do we claim that? We do that because we have everything which is safety and reliable relevant is on the ground. So all the hydraulics, all the motors, the energy generation, the steering components, the computer, everything is in the ground station. And so we can build, and we are doing that, very reliable, so very heavy machinery, German Maschinenbau, let's say, and we can build redundant systems without reducing the efficiency of the whole system, because the kite stays very low complex and high efficient. No? Everything is on the ground. So that's very important. So the kite itself, of course, can crash like a plane, even to these days are crashing, but it's a very seldom event happening. No? So we have several safety concepts inside of the system to prevent crashes, and therefore we can reduce. And that's the first question, I guess. The area, the safety area around the system. So when the product has a certain level of matureness, we can have a reduced space of 100-meter radius around the machine or around the ground station, where there should be no sensible use like I don't know, power lines or roads and rails or all these things. No? In the first phase of the product, we will have an extended safety zone of the tether length. So the maximum tether length defines the maximum safety zone in the first product generations, because that is the worst case, that the kite is crashing down with the whole system being still operational but out of control. That's the worst case. No? But for that, again, we have a safety system. It's pyro cutters that are cutting the lines. And as soon as the lines are cut, the whole system loses the energy, and then the kite is floating down because it's extreme lightweight wing. It's like styrofoam, so it's coming down like a leaf. So not with the high velocity. That's important to know. I hope this answers the question. What is very important too is we can operate the system in a park array. So we can have several systems, 3 to 10 systems or more, running as a park, and with a very narrow range of a distance between one and the other system, like 180 meters from one system to the other. No? So that's very important. We are not only standalone, we can be operated in an array.
Yes, great. So we have only 1 minute left, so I will be able to take only one last question. Sorry for the questions which hasn't been answered. So last question will be for you, Joe. Last but not least, is Tech Power Services is ready to collaborate with companies outside DRC to join the DRC efforts for rural electrification?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think this is something which I was meant to mention on my last comment, but lucky enough, I've just got similar questions. So now we are very open to partnership in terms of bridging this, the energy gap which the country is suffering. So feel free to DM me either on LinkedIn or other platform, and then we can have a discussion. We are really ready and happy to collaborate. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So once again, sorry for the question we were not able to ask. Just to say it again, so the presentation will be made available on the I4E website. So you have on the slide the contact, so you will be able to ask them afterward. So I just wanted to start by thanks a lot all the speakers and the audience for joining and contributing to this showcase webinar. This great webinar. It was really interesting for myself, and I hope it was also interesting for all the person assisting at this webinar. So I won't be able to summarize the entire webinar, but we have seen a lot of various technologies, from solar to wind and various of technologies, innovation, but also the open access innovation presented by Alexis. Just before we close, because we have only 2 minutes left, I wanted to invite all the companies which are still not members of RA to join RE. So as you can see, we are a very wide association with many different type of members, all focused on the same goal to increase energy access over the world. Last but not least, I thank you all again, and I hope to see you in the next edition of the I4E Innovation for Electrification webinar. And in the meantime, feel free to if you have any question, any demand, feel free to contact all the members of the Secretariat of I4E, or to contact myself directly through LinkedIn or WhatsApp if you have my contact. We'll be happy to discuss and answer any of your questions. So once again, thanks a lot. Thanks to all the speakers, and see you soon, I hope. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. See you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.